Innovating Education Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.
Be keen on green. The message being taught in homes and schools as the health of the planet becomes an ever greater concern. Schools and universities are in the front line in the battle against climate change. None more so than Balandra Del Sur in Ecuador. Here, from their first days, kids learn about recycling and sustainable development. Let's take a look.
At Balandra School, ecology isn't just a slogan, it's become a daily routine. The students sort the waste produced during the school break, separating paper, plastic, glass and other recyclables. Their contribution to the environment doesn't stop there. Teams are organised to process the waste at a later stage. The bottles are sorted by colour and washed before being sent to the recycling centre.
The water we use for washing isn't wasted. It's processed and reused to irrigate the garden instead of using clean water.
Marcus Fioravanti is an engineer agronomist and is in charge of the project in which a septic well cleans wastewater. The project also installed the first dry toilet in a school in Latin America. The restaurant and garden waste is meticulously treated to make high-quality compost. It's done under the supervision of a student who sees the activity from a professional perspective.
In the future, I'd like to study environmental engineering. Therefore, I'll be starting with some knowledge I've acquired whilst working here.
Little by little, this ecological awareness is also applied in their homes.
They'd like to do more recycling like this in their houses. They're monitoring electricity bills to see if power consumption has dropped. A lot of ecological proposals they have are about lifestyle and culture, which is very interesting.
Balandra is now aiming for the international certification of an eco-school.
In the Netherlands, where more than half the country lays below sea level, the management of wetlands is a very important skill. From an early age, children are taught about the richness of their environment and how their ancestors managed to build a nation on the marshes. Find out more in this report.
It's an outing to the swamps for this school from Groningen province in the northwest part of the Netherlands. Children are here to learn how to manage key wetland along the stream Ritten A.
Life at school isn't just about maths and languages. If we're talking about education, we find it's very important to teach children that they should care for the nature in which they grow up and live. Then they become responsible for everything that's alive in their environment.
About a quarter of the Netherlands and 60% of its population live on land below sea level. So swamps like this one are not only the last sanctuaries of biodiversity, but also important retention basins to avoid floods. Children learn how to preserve this ecosystem by just reproducing what their ancestors did to survive in marshes.
In the project the children are doing, they're living the life of their forefathers, people who inhabited this region over 6,000 years ago. The kids are accessing the swamp by laying down a new boardwalk. This will allow them to go from one camp to the next. So they're doing it like their ancestors used to.
Until the 1950s, water from these lowlands were dragged out to sea using canals, dams and pumps. From 2008, the Dutch government started an active policy to give nature a chance by letting water flow freely back into the marshes and allowing the forest to grow.
It's very important that children experience for themselves how a forest lives and develops. Then they'll be able to learn how the forest should be managed.
The Netherlands was a country of marsh dwellers. They had to survive in difficult conditions under the constant threat of high water. Finding food and managing to cook it properly was also a priority. How to safely light a fire is something the children learn with the help of their experienced teachers.
You can make a barbecue at home, but children aren't allowed to light fires like this. It's essential to teach them to manage fire to prevent accidents.
By the heat and light of an ancestrally inspired fire, these Dutch children are learning an important lesson: help nature recover itself.
Angkor in Cambodia is not just one of the world's most important heritage sites. It's also home to an initiative to spread the word about biodiversity. Let's find out more with one of the teachers trying to plant new ecological ideas in people's heads.
Also we use for the...
Sampos fell in love with wildlife while studying to become a ranger in Cambodia. Every afternoon at 1 o'clock, he's ready to teach anyone interested why it's so important to preserve biodiversity. This isn't a zoo, but a school hospital, the first of its kind in the country.
Animals that we receive are confiscated by the government agencies and received by the ACCB to either rehabilitate and provide the first aid care for these animals, and then hopefully, if the conditions are correct, to release these animals back into the wild.
So in this enclosure, we have 2 individuals of pileated gibbon again, and now they are 15 years old. Individual of pileated gibbon again, of 750 count.
Some of the animals are permanent residents, like this female ape with an amputated leg.
We go to the village and give presentations about those issues as well, to raise awareness for conservation. Our communities have to make use of the natural resources, but it has to be in a sustainable way.
In Cambodia, hunting wildlife is traditional. Teaching the younger generation about wildlife preservation is essential.
So we try to teach them about environment, biodiversity, and basic water, soil, air, forest, and also basic mapping, like how to use the compass, and then making the decoy. The decoy is like the structure of endangered species, like a Bengal forican.
Twice a week, Sampos and Regine visit primary schools to give classes about biology and sustainable development of resources. Children enjoy learning the names of endangered species.
We must learn to protect wildlife because some species are almost extinct. These animals should be at the zoo or in the Wildlife Protection Centre before being released into the wild.
Once a month, some of them even participate in cleaning their village, studying wild plants, or doing fieldwork. They hope one day to become wildlife managers and to pass their knowledge down to the next generation.
That's it for now. Join us next week when we look at different stories from the world of education. And don't forget, you can find all our episodes on our website.
Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.